I'll go back to the story of Alexander Russell in a minute. This organisation here, I say, we're 10 years old. We were formed when Tommy, myself and many others went over to the site of the battlefield in the Somme in France, the River Somme and the River Ancre. And that's where we formed this charity in remembrance of all the men and indeed women and animals. Let me tell you, the animals as well. A lot of animals died during World War I in service dogs, horses, mules, pigeons. Look it up, you'll see we do a Purple Poppy event in August to remember them specifically. Anyway, back to Alexander Russell. So he was enlisted to help his country. World War I had broke out in 1914. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand had been assassinated in Sarajevo. Loads of conflict, loads of arguments and nations that couldn't get on, and it sparked World War I. There's a whole lecture in there how World War I started, but that's when it started. And ultimately it became more or less the world against Germany. That was kind of simplifying it, but that's kind of what it was. So Alexander joined up to serve his country. He thought it was the right thing to do. And 6 days after turning 21, can you imagine it? 6 days after, he was in the first day of the Battle of the Somme. And in the first day of the Battle of the Somme, it's the biggest casualty numbers for any time in the UK's history. More than 30,000 men sadly perished on the first day. It was a trench warfare. They dug trenches. There was trenches on one side, a couple of miles away, trenches on the other side. So one side was the British and the Allies, the other side was the Germans and their allies. And it was horrible. It is beyond horrible. Somehow, Alexander, after being there for 6 months, somehow survived. His brother was also there as well. His brother was called John Russell. He had a bad injury, actually lost a part of his leg. But they both survived it and they came back. And in 1920, after being married in 1919, Alexander had a daughter called Elizabeth. And she grew up here in Bathgate. Why do I know so much about Alexander? He's one of the very lucky ones to survive and come back. Why do I know so much about him? Because that was my maternal grandfather. That was my mum's dad. And he lived in Bathgate until his death in 1959. I sadly never met him, but I grew up with the stories of his heroism. And he was so fortunate not to have his name on that plaque. There are so many brave men have their name on that plaque that didn't come back from World War I. My grandfather did, otherwise I wouldn't be standing here today. His uncle, there was a little story, his brother, my great uncle, I actually met him. He was pretty old when I was a wee boy, but I do remember him. And as I said, lost his leg just above the knee. He played the last post. You're going to hear that played today when this war memorial was actually unveiled. 1924, this war memorial was unveiled. It wasn't sited here then, it was sited up on a hill behind Veterans' Cottages near Napier Avenue, up that kind of way. But it was moved some 30 years ago to this site, more amenable, more flat for veterans to come to, and it was moved by Annika Rice. Have a look at that, it's great history about what happened in very recent history in Bathgate. So John Russell, as I say, my grandfather's brother was also in the same battle, the Battle of the Somme. He lost his leg, but he was able to still come home, live a full life. So as I say, they were very lucky, both of them. The little story about him was when he was in a war hospital in France. They said, look, he's there, he's lost his leg, it's this tragedy. He said, look, you're going to get dispatched back to the UK. And he asked, where am I going and which hospital am I going to? They said, well, we're going to look it up. So we don't know where it is. It's somewhere called Bangor. Have no idea where that is. He says, that's 3 miles from where I grew up. So he was very fortunate to be put back to Bangor, and his family were able to visit. So that's a little family history for World War I. My father served in World War II as well. I won't go into that. I think you've heard enough about my family. So today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. What do I mean by that? I mean those who laid down their lives for freedom, those who allowed us the freedoms, everything that we enjoy today. We're here to honour them, to remember them. And of course, war is still going on. You still have watch TV every night. You still have what's going on in Ukraine. Dreadful what's going on over there. We still, of course, have the conflict in Israel as well. So it's still happening to this day. Brave men and women laying down their lives for our freedoms. So with these few words, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just remember those who paid that ultimate sacrifice, and remember that freedom is never free. Thank you.